You may remember back on the campaign trail, the now premier was caught on tape telling developers that he would open the Greenbelt.
We will open up the Greenbelt, not all of it.
Once the public got wind of this, outrage was swift.
I support the Greenbelt in a big way.
Ford then flip-flopped, promising to protect the land in its entirety.
Why do we protect the Greenbelt? Why does it even exist? When did it come to be? And why is it constantly up for debate in being developed? Now, as you can see, we've seen our premier flex back and forth. He's a little bit of a flip-flop there. And so my question today is, what's the history of the Greenbelt? Why was it created? What purpose does it serve? And is it something that we want to tamper with, or maybe we need to leave it alone? When you check out the Greenbelt website, this is what it reads. It says, Ontario's Greenbelt is a solution for fresh air, clean water, healthy local food, active outdoor recreation, and a thriving economy. At almost 2 million acres, it's the world's largest permanently protected greenbelt, keeping our farmland, forests, wetlands safe and sustainable. The Friends of the Greenbelt Foundation works to help keep farmers successful, strengthen local economies, and protect and grow natural features. So what exactly does it do? And I think this video explains it a little bit for you.
So right now we're here on the Ridges Moraine. This is a very unique landform in Ontario that naturally cleans our drinking water. This area is also the headwaters to all the rivers that run through Toronto. Now, many are saying development here could create more intense flooding events in the GTA.
The Ridges Moraine was formed by glaciers 12,000 years ago that moved sediment and soil and formed the rich land that we have here today.
A lot of what happens here cleans the water that I guess comes through our taps.
That's right. So the Ridges Moraine also is a giant filter. So it filters through the sand and gravel and certainly through the wetlands and the floodplains. All of the water then eventually flows down into the aquifer underneath and flows down into Lake Ontario. So it's a really clean way and an effective way to clean the water.
So there you have it. So there's clearly an environmental point to all of this, and it's the loudest argument in favor of keeping the Greenbelt. But of course, there have been, even since elected, there have been attempts made to try and change some of the rules on the Greenbelt. There was an article in the Global News, and it says, Municipal Affairs Minister Steve Clark says the government will abandon plans to create a specialized planning tool for municipalities that would have allowed them, under some circumstances, to override certain laws, including those that safeguard the Greenbelt. It goes on to say the government has said that part of the legislation referred to as Schedule 10 would only apply to municipal development of industrial land. So what essentially happened here was they pulled back. There was enough voices that prevented opening up this the things that would otherwise reduce the safeguard on the Greenbelt. And there was a very strong article, a press release that came from the Greenbelt Foundation that said this, and it was on the repeal of this same Schedule 10 from Bill 66. The Greenbelt Foundation welcomes the announcement from Minister Steve Clark that Schedule 10 will not be included in Bill 66 when the legislature reconvenes. Farming and recreation in the Greenbelt are major contributors to Ontario's prosperity, contributing $9.1 billion in economic activity and supporting 161,000 jobs every year. The government's decision to remove Schedule 10 removes any ambiguity about the prominence of the Greenbelt's protection for farm families and underscores the important role farming and agri-food plays in our economy. We certainly commend the government for listening and responding to the people's concerns about the potential impact of Schedule 10 on the Greenbelt and Ridges Moraine Plan. So clearly they were satisfied with that, and they were being polite. They're being very polite, actually, in the response that thanking that they included the voices of the locals and the people near the Greenbelt that didn't want, not even just near the Greenbelt, there are a lot of environmentalists in and across the GTA that want this area protected. And by repealing that schedule, they indeed did that. So that's it, right? That's our problem is resolved. Not quite. So there's another big project on the table, and this single-handedly was the reason I wanted to create this video, because we've got a new conversation now happening, and I've received letters in the mail, which is, I guess, also part of why being a part of this area has allowed me to understand what's coming and being very familiar with it. There is a plan to develop a 400 series highway that was once in place was then taken down and off the table, but has now been brought back again. And there's been conversations about it again over the last year. But I'll bet you most of you don't know about this, and it's not widely publicized. There's not a lot of conversations about it other than for local people. Now, there is an article that I found that reads, a major 400 series highway project proposed for the northwest end of GTA that was shelved 4 years ago by the previous Liberal government has been revived by the Progressive Conservatives. The province is resuming work on an environmental assessment for the venture known as the GTA West Highway Corridor in an effort to improve the highway network and help reduce congestion and travel times. And then it goes on to say it will identify the official route and will be completed. It should be completed. This is the EA. The assessment will be completed by 2022. And they're looking to determine the official route. They're not certain on where it's going to go, but it will either be a 4 to 6 lane highway. So it's going to be big, and it's going to run parallel to 407, the 401, and reduce congestion. But also, and this is why this becomes a challenge, speaking on the Greenbelt, will increase development in this area, and some would argue make it necessary to start tampering with the Greenbelt to develop around these areas. Now, I'm not going to complain that I'm going to have a highway located near one of my properties because, let's face it, that's good for growth and it can be a wonderful thing. But I'm also not a farmer that's going to be trampled by asphalt and concrete. And so I think we need to be a little bit more receptive to what they're saying. So I want to look at what are the environmental risks, but also what are some of the arguments in favor of developing the Greenbelt. Now, of course, the biggest argument is that the advocates for the Greenbelt, they are more comfortable with keeping prices higher because supply would therefore be reduced in order to protect the environment and also to reduce urban sprawl, which causes a ton of challenges itself. Check out this video.
What could happen if they determine to put development into those floodplains is that it's not going to filter, it's not going to protect the water flowing south. It's just not going to do its job. So we need to be really careful that development doesn't impinge upon the natural functions.
So out of this development of the highway, there are some that are concerned about the route itself, but then there's also many that are concerned about the development in and around it. So regardless of the view, the arguments against it and the reason it was pulled back initially by during the Liberal government being in power was because of a lot of these points that were being made. So yeah, meanwhile, again, as I said, owning a property near a highway, I'm cool with that. I'm also hoping that we're able to find a happy balance. I hope it doesn't cause challenges with the Greenbelt, but I do see both arguments. I see both sides, and I'm going to leave it with you guys. What are your views on this whole situation? Should the Greenbelt be protected at all costs? No development made. Now remember, there is environmental reasons for this, but the lines were drawn in 2005. Is it something we need to protect, or is this something where housing remains the bigger issue, affordability, and so we need to open it up in hopes of protecting millennials, in hopes of protecting future generations that will one day potentially be outpriced and left in this circle of renters, which in some cities are cool with, and maybe that's the direction we go. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Keep it real.